Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Carmen, Adam, and Benjamin, also known as Benji, who are going to discuss the technological renaissance of art NFTs. I'll let them explain what their projects are. If you wouldn't mind giving them a nice, warm round of applause. Thank you.
Hello. So, hello everyone. My name is Carmen. I'm here with Benji and Adam, and we are gonna talk about how technology has evolved to this new renaissance of art. As you all know, in art history, there's always been a renaissance. We also have the one at the 14th, 15th century that is the most well known because it actually is tagged with the name of Renaissance. And it was a renaissance because it came, or it brought back to the time previous art styles from Greeks and the old Rome, right? So, as for now, digital art has been in the space long time now. Like, I don't know, when was the first time like an computer came to life? In the 90s, like a proper computer, no? I mean, in the 90s. So artists started to work with that since then. But the problem is like, I mean, so what? Like anyone couldn't buy or sell it because there wasn't any way to do it. So now, thanks to blockchain, thanks to NFTs, this has changed completely. I'm gonna, or I want to tell you something that I don't know if it's very like popular in this room right now, but the first artwork that it is considered to be an NFT is one called Quantum. You can Google it. And it was from an artist called Kevin McCoy that he did like a, well, it's a very simple digital artwork, but he thought to put it on a blockchain, to put it somewhere where the property could be registered. And he did so. And he actually did so on 2014, I think it was, on Namecoin. So, I mean, no one at that time knew it, and even the technology was proper enough to be considered as an NFT, but it could be like the first steps, no? So now that I'm here together with two artists, I wanted to ask Adam, like you've been always an artist. How did you like enter in this NFT space? How did you create your collection? Munchies is his collection.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. So I've always been in the arts. So I did art and design at college, and then I went on and did fine art at university. And in that time, I was kind of seeing like the start of like the digital artists actually getting into galleries. So there's one piece I remember seeing in Yorkshire by David Hockney, and he was using digital art for the first time, like first time that I'd experienced it and seen it in like 2009, I think it was, and it was with the iPhone, and he'd just been doing pieces on that, and that really inspired me, and I kind of just went on to kind of explore that, not really thinking about it, not really thinking it was going to go anywhere, just creating pieces for the enjoyment of it, just working digitally, like just doing sketches, just doing anything really. And I gathered quite a bit of work on the side that I didn't feel like I could show at like university or like anything like that. I didn't think it was acceptable. Like I didn't really know where this space was gonna go. And I was just kind of creating for the fun of it. And then long story short, kind of went on, did a few different jobs other than art, then got made redundant, then found the NFT space and created Munchies, which essentially is to teach art history in a really bite-sized, abstract, like feeding people art education in a fun way. So that's how, like, long story short, how I got kind of into the NFT space and created Munches, and that's what, you know, is essentially how it got created. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. This is like a real-time story of a digital artist. And you, Benji, because we know, well, I know you have a architectural background, so like how did you came into this space?
So basically, I trained as an architect over the last basically 10 years or so, and did university, undergraduate, postgraduate, and I was, you know, I always took to drawing as a way of communicating myself, I guess, and my ideas. And within architecture itself, I sort of operated in quite a rogue way within the practice, which in university and in practice as architects, it's quite rigid in terms of the constraints that you have to operate within, which is kind of ironic because it's meant to be this all-thinking sort of design-led degree and career path. But within that, I continually explored my art through drawing. And then when I got into practice, I was very stubborn, and I basically just refused to do anything that traditionally you're supposed to do as an architect. And I continued to draw and draw and draw and communicate for architects their designs and their visions and their aspirations through visuals. So 3 years ago, I was living in London, and I left London to go back to Belfast, where I'm from, and I set up sort of accidentally my own company called Concrete Clouds, which just kind of came out of the necessity to survive and make some money. And I'd built up my relations in London with architects, and for the last 3 years, I've primarily worked as an architectural illustrator. But last year, I got into NFTs because I vaguely heard about them at the start of the year, and then by the end of the year, I was accepted onto a platform, Known Origin, which is based in the UK. And all of a sudden, I realized that this world had opened for me where I could sort of finally motivate myself to have the opportunities to express myself beyond the constraints of architecture and explore all the things I was truly interested in within design, within social commentary, lots of different themes. And I've basically next week is my 1 year anniversary in the space, and I've had a hell of a ride. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, and I've been able to explore everything that I kind of think on a daily basis through my artwork, and it's the power of this technology and the opportunity that it presents for working artists is incredible, because you can meet and engage with so many people around the world. Like, I've had opportunities to collaborate with artists in Panama. I've had my artwork shown in Miami and Venice, Paris. It all just off the back of just kind of truly having an opportunity to be yourself. So it's been incredible, and for me that really does represent a real shift, a sea change in how people within different creative industries can operate, and especially something that helps to break the mold for people in the likes of architecture, where it can be quite difficultly rigid.
Yeah, I mean, that's so nice, Benji. I am very curious because, I mean, for you, if you don't know it, I have an art consultancy called Tax 7, and we are focused on new media art. And of course, the NFT space changed everything. But with the NFT space, or the technology behind the blockchain that changed everything, it also came the Web3, okay? And so for art, it's not so easy to turn into Web3, because art has always been curated. Like, if you are a big collector, or you have a lot of money to spend on a work of art, you probably want to spend it in a work of art that you don't know the artist, where is it coming from, or who is going to recommend you this artist, because of course, like, if you want to buy art, you will have to buy art for someone you trust, for someone who has studies on art, for someone who is well known on the industry, or for someone who moves around this wall, because the art wall is also kind of zero, Web3. Like, the traditional art world is not a Web3. So it's very interesting, or I want to ask you guys, like, how do you cope with the fact that you have to and for you to enter in some marketplace, you have to be curated by someone else? Like, do you like it? Do you prefer, or would you prefer to just be like in an open sea where anyone will decide if your work is good or bad, or if you have a good artist CV or not? Like, I'm very curious on that. Like, Alan, I don't know.
I think it's completely like everyone, if you have different styles and different interpretations of work, I guess like the different platforms some would cater to some better. Like if you're releasing like one-of-ones, for instance, and you want it to be very exclusive, you might go like super rare, or like if you have a more general collection where it's a lot of pieces, then it would be on OpenSea. So I think as an artist, I'm getting more now to explore like doing further work on different platforms and stuff to actually experience how it can be different on the different platforms. Like you have all different needs, and like Known Origin's another good one in terms of like if you're doing one-of-ones or like just want a good audience to get to your work. And I think they support a lot of artists and get a lot of artists on the platform, and I think that's important as an artist myself. If I see a platform actively encouraging and being very supportive, I think that's important to me as an artist when selecting, if that answers what you said.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess I've realized throughout the year that I started minting on Known Origin back last November because it kind of was recommended to me as somewhere that was a good place to be to build up your audience and sort of find your footing. But throughout the year, as I got more and more into it, I really did start to sort of define my voice within the space and what my sort of visual output is. And a lot of my work is to do with the space and a sort of running commentary, recording on an almost weekly, daily basis of things that are going on in the crypto space, the NFT space. And I found that, you know, the likes of Known Origin has been really great because you can build up a huge net of collectors that you can sort of convert over time, obviously by building relationships with people to be invested in you. And at the end of the day, I've realized that fundamentally this, it's a push and pull or a give and take kind of thing between collectors and artists, where it is about relationships like anything, and your artwork is your story and your journey. And for me, I love that I have this opportunity now to explore my growth and development as an artist, and to look back at all the work I've minted throughout the year as a visual diary or record of not just my journey, but the journey of the space as it's evolved. And Known Origin has offered a really amazing platform for me to spread that voice and find like-minded people, collectors, artists, and then that has led on to getting onto other platforms like Foundation, or recently deployed my own contract through Manifold, which has come at the right time because now I've built up that network of collectors, I guess. But I do think that one of the things I've found throughout the year is for a new artist, it's extremely difficult at times and quite overwhelming and often upsetting at how much sort of vitriol can be in the space, and a lot of people telling you what you should do all of a sudden. Like, you start putting out your art for yourself, and then all of a sudden you've got tens of voices telling you what you should do. But I kind of figured out for myself anyway after about 3 months that at the end of the day, I'm doing it for myself, and I'm here to enjoy myself, and drawing and doing artwork makes me feel good and content and happy with, getting things out of me. So I want to meet people who are invested in that story and journey, instead of, people who might tell me you're over minting or your floor price is all over the place. Like, at the end of the day, artists' journeys throughout history have been decades in the making, and sometimes are not picked up on until well after they're dead. And I think there's a lot of sort of jumping the gun in this space, where you hear on a daily basis that there's a new masterpiece created by someone. And, I think sometimes people need to check themselves and ground themselves and realize that the artists in this space are all there to just try and be themselves and make a living. And for me, I've found that that's been a real battle to accept and navigate in my own way. So I would advise like any artist getting into the space to kind of find their people, find their tribe, and figure out how to navigate all these things, because there's so much power to this technology, but there's, like anything, a lot of downfalls and pitfalls if you don't manage your head, you could lose your mind.
Yeah, and this is something like has changed a lot from traditional art to digital art after blockchain. Is because before blockchain, art the only way that artists has or had to get into an audience to get collectors was actually being hired kind of by a gallery. Now that has changed completely. Now it's the artist who has to choose which NFT marketplace he wants to meet their art. Of course, like some of them, like super exclusive marketplace like Super Rare, the one you mentioned, or known origins, you have to pass some curatorship processes. But I mean, this is the Renaissance. This is part of the Renaissance, like this whole process of becoming an artist and get an audience and get collectors who wants to follow your art has completely changed thanks to blockchain, and also thanks to social media, because now you can chat with your collectors. Like I follow, or I am a collector, of course, so I follow a lot of artists that I have pieces from, and I also feel the freedom to message them on Instagram or Twitter asking, hey, are you gonna do another collection? Are you gonna mint soon? Because I'm curious of his work, and we don't have anymore these intermediate galleries that could be very useful too. I don't want to make them apart, but they have now to compete with this new environment of marketplaces where artists choose their path, no? And I'm also curious, like, how do you cope with your audience, with your collectors? Like, do you maintain a close relationship with them? Like, do you spend time? Because for you to maintain a relationship with your collectors on social media, you have to actually spend time on social media, and sometimes it's not easy to answer so many messages, right? So I'm curious.
Yeah. I guess like with the Munchies collection, there's like 5,000 pieces, so there's quite a lot of collectors to the actual collection. So in terms of that, I want to do the talking in terms of my art and pushing forward, going to events, being very active in that way. So that way, that's kind of speaking to the audience as a whole. Like I go out, I work hard to get noticed, to kind of get the brand out there. I suppose like a part of the ethos of Munchies is to support artists. So actively, like this week, I've been putting different artists on screens that wouldn't normally get to the light of day, like to see like in a screen in London with the right people in the right room. So I think doing all those things for me is pushing forward and speaking to the collectors in a like a physical way of going to events, doing things, pushing on. I really want to push on with my own art career as well. So I feel like all those things are like communicating with the collectors as a whole. And I think that's how I effectively operate that situation. And I do like reach out. If people reach out to me, I get back to them with anything or, yeah. So that's my kind of...
Makes sense. Like you also build up your own rate of collectors, like, and you maintain it, which is like extra work for you guys, artists. You have some tricks or?
Well, I just always, try to remain approachable and I always approach new collectors or new people who might start following my work. And if anyone has a question about anything I do, I'm happy to sit and chat to anyone who wants to know. And I think that's been key. And also, as I've myself, started to build up ETH and stuff from sales, and I also think it's important to kind of give back to the sort of community of, a lot of the best collectors are other artists, and I've really enjoyed the process of being able to find people's work that I enjoy and can build a relationship with and actually, support them and collect their art. So I do think as well, as an artist, there's a bit of that kind of, you can't just talk the talk, you got to also walk the walk, because, you do find a lot of time as well, collectors will sort of dangle carrots in front of you and like kind of make you feel like something's going to happen, and it's overwhelming in the beginning, but you start to realize that there's a lot of fluff going on. And for me, and I do think that like I want to be an artist and collector myself that actually genuinely is there to support the artwork and the voices and stories of individuals. And that's the type of people that I've enjoyed the most meeting, and that is where I've found the true power of the space. Because it would be very easy to fall down into a sort of like landslide where it's like a bit of a downward spiral that you could find yourself just only engaging with the wrong people, or people who are not right for you. Like I think it's okay to realize that it's your journey and your little adventure you're on, to accept that there's going to be certain people out there that are who you should be working with, engaging with, and that and that builds on top of itself, and eventually I think starts to look after itself if you have a transparent, open relationship with the people you're meeting, not just artists and collectors. And then that forms a bit of a closed circle where it's all helping to support itself. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my experience with dealing with collectors and whatnot.
Yeah, that's a good story to listen to. And also, I just wanted to point out, because we are running out of time, this technological renaissance of art that has led to this digital era, okay? Because we are living the digital era. How many screens do you have at home? Like, think about it. It's like insane. The TV, the iPad, mobile phones in plural, because most of us have more than one mobile phone.
Yeah.
Like even the screen of the Thermomix, like it's insane, no? So we are living the digital era, but we cannot forget that we are physical humans and we still love it. That's why we all are here gathered together, like in person. We could have done a metaverse a conference, but we haven't, or because maybe we are never gonna get there, or because we are not there yet. So as for this time that we are living, I think the digital property together with the physical experience is the model that we are adopting more quickly, because I'm sure you guys like to have your art exhibited on a screen, as well as I like to see your art exhibited on the screens and be able to own it digitally, but enjoy it physically.
And you can see your art. It's also amazing to be able to see your art all of a sudden be somewhere else in the world. Like, I was at Art Basel last week in Paris, and just randomly someone had a piece of mine at the exhibition, and I actually happened to just be there on honeymoon, and it was one of my last days, and to kind of just come across your artwork. No one asked me, but I was happy to have it there. But it's pretty amazing to see that your art kind of travels across the world and connects with different people, and the opportunities that come from that is the ability to collaborate with people that you never would have had the opportunity to collaborate with, and bringing sort of worlds together is incredible. So, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's so much easy. I read the other day that the internet removed the the geographic boundaries, and the NFTs removes the economic ones. So I think it's a good sentence to think about. Yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah. I was going to say just tonight, and for like the next 2 days or something, I've created quite a few artists from around the world on screens at Arcade Apes. So if anyone's going to that event or thinking about it, it's quite cool to see all the different artworks on the screens there that I've created. So that's me.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for being here and listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.